Hi, YouTube. If you're listening to this, then this is a compilation of all of the Site-65 Culinary Podcast episodes that I have done in the past. For those of you who maybe have stumbled upon this or are only interested in listening to the official podcast, this culinary podcast is just food reviews. I started doing this about 8 months ago before the actual podcast became a thing. And this was sort of my introduction to the podcasting world. And these are just short 5-minute food review episodes where I would just eat a fast food and talk about it for a few minutes. And this all started because I had a really bad experience at a Hardee's eating a Philly cheesesteak burger, which will be the first review. So this will be just a compilation of a lot of the reviews up until today's current episode, and then following this, there'll be uploaded a new episode of the Culinary Podcast to YouTube. So these will live on the podcast channel for now, and I'll come up with a new logo eventually. But for now, please sit back and enjoy the Site-65 Culinary Podcast, SCP. Hello, and welcome to SCP, the Site-56 Culinary Podcast. I am your host, Robert Tomato Peterson, and this is the pilot episode where I'm going to talk about the Hardee's Philly Cheesesteak Angus Thick Burger. Boy, was this an experience. So, it's no secret that I like fast food, but I've noticed over the past few years, at least since the start of COVID, fast food has really taken a nosedive in terms of quality. And I'm kind of known for my food reviews in the Civil Networks Discord. So I figured I'm going to turn it into just a little podcast and hopefully have guests on eventually where we review food together. But for now, this will just be a single person show. So if you're listening to this, thank you very much. It took me no time at all to set this up because this is just meant to be something silly. But people seem to like the food reviews, so here we are. And there's no sponsors for this, so there's not going to be a sponsor read in the middle of this. Let's just get right into it. I was driving today, and I was out game shopping because I'm a video game collector, and I saw a Hardee's, which is also known as Carl's Jr. on the West Coast of the United States. I'm not sure if it's in the UK or not. And I thought, okay, I haven't had Hardee's in forever. This will just be a little history of me and Hardee's. I haven't had Hardee's in maybe 2 years, something like that. And I thought, okay, I'm going to give this a shot. I haven't had Hardee's in forever. Let's give it a try. And I pull up to the drive-thru, and the first thing I see in the middle of the menu is the Philly Cheesesteak Angus Thick Burger. And then the woman behind the, the speaker says, "Hi, welcome to Hardee's. Would you like to try our Angus Thick Burger now in Philly cheesesteak?" And I said, yes I would. So I got it, with fries and a Coke. And the total price for everything was $15.29 American. I don't know what that translates to in Canadian or British pounds or euros or whatever, so that's for you guys to do. Overall, a bit expensive, but you do get a 1/3 pound, 100% Angus beef patty. This is coming from a press release for the burger. So it's a 1/3 pound, 100% Angus beef patty, topped with thin sliced ribeye steak, fire roasted onions and peppers, melty cheese, and mayo on a toasted potato bun. You can also get it in a burrito form for breakfast. Replace the bun with a flour tortilla. And the first thing I noticed upon opening up the wrapper of the burger was how greasy it was. Not the burger itself, the foil. The foil was like someone dunked it in just pure lard. I picked it up, put it down, and went, what the hell is this? And I looked at my hands, and I wiped them off, and I carefully unwrapped to find the burger. Now, first impressions were good. Typically, when you have something covered in cheese sauce, keep in mind, it says melty cheese, but it's really just a cheese sauce. Typically, you find that the cheddar sauce, or whatever it is everywhere on the wrapper. So it's kind of a mess to pick up. This, however, was neatly contained, and everything was well put together. So initial impressions were good. That's where the good part ended, and everything seemed to go downhill from there. I took a bite and immediately was hit with no flavor. Absolutely no flavor. You have a burger which, for all intents and purposes, was juicy, but it just had nothing to it. Absolutely nothing to it. And then you have this steak, this ribeye steak on top of it, which also has no flavor whatsoever. Absolutely nothing. A little salt and a little pepper would go a long way on this burger. And you'd think the saving grace would be the cheese sauce. Hell no. There was not enough of it. When I think cheesesteak, I think ooey gooey cheese everywhere. There was not enough of it, and it too had absolutely no flavor. The only flavor I got out of this burger was from the peppers and onions, because you can't really mess up bell peppers and white onions. However, that was all I got. And first off, who puts mayo on a cheesesteak? That kind of threw me off too. And there wasn't even like a lot of mayo. There was just a tiny little smidge, just a little smear, if you would, of mayo on the bottom bun. And the bun was well put together, I'll give it that. It wasn't soggy. It didn't look like someone punched the top of it. It was a fluffy bun. But the whole thing had absolutely no flavor whatsoever. I took 3 bites and put it down. I was done. You could not get me to go back to take another bite, and my meal was ruined. Side note, the meal came with fries. The fries were okay. I will give them that. The fries were just kind of fine. They were a little greasy, a little soggy, but serviceable. They were perfectly salted. Some fast food places like McDonald's, depending on when you get them, oversalt their fries. These were just fine. So, that being said, if I'm going to give this a score, and I rate all of my food items that I eat out of 10, 10 being amazing, 1 being the worst thing in the history of mankind, I'm going to have to give this a 2 out of 10. There is no flavor. It serves one purpose and one purpose only. And that is to make it so that you are no longer hungry. If you get this, you're not getting this for the flavor. You're not getting this for the taste. You are simply getting this because you are close to the brink of death and you need something to fill your stomach for the time being. No amount of flavor could save this, and there was none to begin with. Overall, terrible value. For $15.29, I expect a lot, because that's a lot to pay for a cheeseburger. And you just get nothing for it. No flavor, no nothing. So overall, Hardee's, I will not be going back to you anytime soon. You are disgusting. And honestly, I should have just gone to the Wendy's that was right next door. But anyways, that's going to be it for this first episode. This is just the pilot episode. Let me know what you all think about this. I'd love to do more of these and have guests on to talk about it. Yes, I know I'm sounding more official when really this is just me talking about a fast food cheeseburger. But still, it's fun to do stupid things like this. So, this has been SCP, the Site-65 Culinary Podcast. reviewing the Philly Cheesesteak Angus Thick Burger from Hardee's. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, welcome to the Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I am your host, Robert Tomato Peterson, and I am suffering right now. I just ate the Wendy's Ghost Pepper Ranch Chicken Sandwich, and holy cow, is my entire face dripping with sweat. This is a spicy son of a bitch. Oh my god. Let's get right into this. Wendy's is the king of chicken sandwiches, in my opinion. I would say Chick-fil-A is better, but Chick-fil-A hates the gays, so they don't get a good rep. But Wendy's is my go-to for a chicken sandwich. And the other day, I was out, and I saw a big sign that said Ghost Pepper Ranch at Wendy's. And I immediately was intrigued, because I like the spicy. So, I went to Wendy's, I ordered the Ghost Pepper Ranch chicken sandwich, and took a bite, and my mouth immediately was engulfed in flames, and I began sweating profusely, and I enjoyed every gosh darn second of it. So, let's go through this. You get the Wendy's chicken, which you can get spicy or normal. I always choose to get spicy. Then, they put Ghost Pepper Ranch on top of it, and then Ghost Pepper Cheese on top of that, and then Ghost Pepper Fried Onions on top of that, along with tomato and lettuce. And you take a bite, and it doesn't hit you right away. You get kind of the fruitiness that a good pepper has before the spice gets you. And it's very tasty. The onions make it. The onions are a fantastic addition to this sandwich. I wish all Wendy's chicken sandwiches came with fried onions on it. They don't have to be spicy. That's just a fantastic topping. And then, woo! That spice hits like a truck. And halfway through the sandwich, you're sweating. You're dying. Something's happening. Oh my gosh. And then you get to the last quarter of the sandwich. Your nose is running, and your face is dripping, and you feel like you just ran a marathon, but it's so tasty, though. Oh, it's so good. So, I think you could tell I enjoyed this sandwich quite a bit. Fair warning, this is spicier than most other sandwiches. So if you're someone who can tolerate spicy, but not a lot of it, do not get this sandwich. It is not for you. If you're someone who can handle spice and wants a bit of a challenge, go ahead and get this sandwich. It is fantastic. But you gotta make sure that chicken is fresh from the fryer. If you get an old chicken patty that's been laying out for a while, you will suffer. It will be dry and it will be disgusting. If you get one straight from the fryer, oh boy, it's an experience, I tell you. It is delicious. Now, the only downside I'm going to give this are the fries. They recently changed their fry recipe, and they're just not as good as they were before. They're not really hot and crispy. To be fair, I've had this sandwich 3 times over the past week, because it's just that good. And each time the fries have been a disappointment. I don't know why. They changed their fries again. So that's going to dock it a point. But make sure you have a drink handy, because, woo, you're going to need it. Anyways, with that being said, let me give this thing a score. I'm honestly going to give this a 9 out of 10. This is a pretty damn good sandwich. It hits all the notes. Spicy, juicy, tender, sleepy, and dark. And that's a shitty joke. But, yeah, 9 out of 10. The only thing that's stopping it from getting a 10 out of 10 are the fries. But, man, this is a good sandwich. Woo! Anyways, this has been the Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I'm your host, Robert Tomato Peterson. Join the research department. I'm going to go lay down and cry. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Hello, everyone. This is SCP, Site-56 Culinary Podcast. I am your host, Robert Tomato Peterson. And, okay, sorry, thought someone was at my door. And I am reviewing the spicy chicken fries from Burger King. Burger King is not exactly known for having the best food, if I'm honest. it's kind of like one of those restaurants that you either have to have a really weird hankering for, or it's the only thing around and you're like, well, at least there's Burger King. And that was kind of how I was the other day, where I happened to be at a store right next to one, and I was like, okay, I'm going to stop in and have, just get something small from BK. And I looked and they had spicy chicken fries. Now, I'd never had their original chicken fries. I know they were a big thing when they came out. And I was never one of those people that, like, jumped at the opportunity to eat chicken fries. I don't know. It just seemed like a weird form of chicken nugget. But I decided to try them, and I decided to get the spicy nuggets because spicy fries, because obviously spicy is better. So I get the chicken fries, and they're like $3.95 or something like that, and you get like 9 or 10 fries with them, and they come in this little pouch, and the whole presentation's very good. You have this little angry chicken staring at you, and it's all red and it has flames on it, so I mean, it fits the bill. And the fries themselves, they were warm and they were very crispy. I was very surprised, but you could tell they're very, like, production line factory made because they're almost square. They're long, but they're box form. They're very sharply box pressed, and it's very easy to tell these came off an assembly line somewhere, and they're not just like fried to order. But then again, it is BK, so what do you expect? And you take a bite, and they're just kind of meh. I don't really know how to describe it. Like, they're spicy, yes, they're spicier than I was anticipating. And I couldn't really place the spice at any sort of pepper. Typically, they seem to revolve around vinegar spice, like Tabasco. Even though Tabasco is Tabasco peppers, there's still a lot of vinegar in it. I couldn't really pinpoint the exact type of spice they were using. Quiet. Sorry, that's my laptop making noise, or my computer making noise, I'm sorry. Yeah, so I ate them. They were just okay. They were pretty run-of-the-mill, middle of the road, not something I'd go out of my way to get. They're spicy, yes, but they're not, like, ungodly spicy. And they get cold really quick, I will give them that. You better eat these while they're warm, because if you don't and come back to them later, like I did for the last two, they taste awful later. But thankfully, I am not here to review food later. I'm here to review food that I eat fresh. So, all that being said, they're not bad. They're just not very good. So, I'm going to give it a solid 5 out of 10. Not the worst thing you could possibly get. Definitely not the best. I would still rather get these 100% of the time than any fish-related item from BK. Could you imagine getting fish from Burger King? Or any, like, a fillet of fish from McDonald's? That just sounds awful. Ugh. Anyways, so yeah, this is just a quick little review. This has been Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I'm your host, Robert Tomato Peterson. 5 out of 10 for the spicy BK chicken fries. And thank you very much for listening. Welcome to the SCP Site-65 Culinary Podcast. Back after a little hiatus, I am your host, Robert Tomato Peterson. And today, I am reviewing the Pop-Up Chicken Shack's Wagyu beef corn dog and truffle aioli fries. Yeah, so, it's been a while since I've done one of these. I've been trying to better myself, healthier myself. But there's this place in town, and I'm going to dox myself a little bit. It's not near me or anything. It's called the Pop-Up Chicken Shack. And they do chicken. And their whole specialty is just fried chicken, spicy chicken, all that good stuff. And I drove by the other day, and they had a banner up across the building that said, we have a sister restaurant located inside. And I thought, okay, I wonder what they have. So I went online and checked out their menu, and they are a burger place. that's partnered with the Chicken Shack. So now it's sort of like two restaurants in one. Well, this place had a Wagyu, Waygu, I think that's how it says. Anyways, it's like a specialty type of beef corn dog. And so, for those of you who don't know what a corn dog is, which I'm pretty sure is no one, it's a hot dog dipped in cornbread batter and deep fried. I know, delicious, right? And I think they're fantastic. I love corn dogs. I think corn dogs are great. So I saw this and immediately was like, well, damn, I have to try this. How often do you see a corn dog on a menu? The answer is never. So I went there today after work and got the corn dog, and it's a pretty substantial corn dog. I was very surprised. It's a solid half-pound corn dog. Oh, the hot dog's a half-pound. I don't know what the batter adds to it. Very thin batter, though. But very crispy, very warm, very juicy. Now, the first thing I noticed is that I tried it plain, no condiments first. Was how unapologetically sweet the batter for the corn dog was. And I'll be the first to say, I'm not one who can, like, sit there and pick out individual flavors from things. Like, I'm not going to be able to eat, like, a rotisserie chicken and be like, ooh, I could taste the thyme, I could taste the sage or whatever. But this, to me, was so sweet. It felt like it was 1% cornbread batter and 99% sugar. It was that level of sweet. I've had ice cream not as sweet as this. And it dominates the batter. The hot dog's fine. I mean, it's just like higher quality beef, but it's still a hot dog, so, you know, take that as you will. It's okay. The batter just kind of, it knocks you over with how sweet it is. It's so sweet. That's not to say it's necessarily bad. It's not the worst thing in the world. I've definitely had way worse food. But the sweetness does play against it. It definitely needs a condiment. Ketchup, mustard, whatever you want to put on it. I feel like it would be good as like a chili corn dog, where you put like a ladle of chili on it, maybe a little cheese, something like that. But overall, it's not a bad corn dog. There's not much else to say. It's a corn dog. The fries, though, I will say, the fries were phenomenal. So they were truffle aioli fries. So, truffles, those weird things that pigs dig up in forests in Europe. And then, aioli's like some weird type of mayo. So the fries were shoestring. And they were which is just basically another way of saying they're very thin. They're like, if you've ever had Steak and Shake, they're fries like that. But if you haven't, they're very thin fries. And they were cooked perfectly. And on top of the fries was a little dusting of, I'm gonna assume, what type of cheese would that be? It wasn't cheddar, it wasn't Parmesan. It might have been Parmesan, I don't know. There was just this little sprinkling of cheese. I'm not sure. It was a very light colored cheese. And some type of greens on top of it. And it was good. And it was served with the truffle aioli, which is like a kind of a mayo-y type dip. And it was subtle, but it brought together the flavors very well. The fries were phenomenal. I would go back just for the fries. They were so good. They know how to do those fries. The corn dog, you could skip it if you want to. You're not really missing much. It's a corn dog. If you really like corn dogs, give it a shot. But you're not missing anything. But the fries, I would definitely go back for the fries. They were on point. They knew what they were doing. So, it's definitely not the worst meal I've had, but there is one thing to consider with this meal. The price. Oh boy, the price. With tip, it was $20. $20 for a corn dog and a small thing of fries. That is absurd. And I'm happy I don't eat a lot of fast food anymore, so I can justify spending $20 on a corn dog. I mean, I still can't, but you know what I mean. Um, I'm gonna give this a 5 out of 10. It's not bad. The fries are good. The fries are very good. The fries alone would get like a 9 out of 10. But you have to factor in the corn dog and the price of everything. Whereas I could go to Walmart and get a box of 16 corn dogs for $7.99 and a bag of frozen fries for $5.99 and cook them all in my air fryer if I wanted them. But for a once in a blue moon experience, it's okay. But I know I kind of doxed myself by giving up the location. Hey, if you live in the middle of Illinois, come give it a shot. Other than that, you're not missing anything. 5 out of 10. This has been the Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I'm your host, Robert Tomato Peterson. Thank you very much for listening. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this bonus episode of SCP, the Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I'm your host, Robert Tomato Peterson. And I'm doing this because I just had a snack that kind of blew me away. And I wanted to talk about it. Now, I'll be honest, was not planning on doing this review. Already did 2 in the last, week. So, didn't really feel like doing it. But I was feeling peckish. I didn't really have much at my house to eat. So, I drove to the gas station, got a soda, and an energy drink, which I'll review shortly. And I saw that Takis, Takis, has come out with a new flavor called Dragon Sweet Chili. Now, I've tried Takis in the past. Their main, lime chili one doesn't do it for me. Their blue one just tastes weird. And, God, I reviewed one some time ago that tasted just like enchiladas. I remember that. But these are Dragon Sweet Chili Takis, and they're actually pretty good. It's weird. They smell like a cross between a Dorito and a Cheeto. I don't know how to describe that other than you just have to get, a bag of Doritos and a bag of Cheetos, mix them together, and take a whiff. That's what they smell like. And oddly enough, that's what they taste like, too. It's just, a weird mismatch of Cheeto and Dorito. And it's the strangest thing. But it's actually pretty decent. It's definitely not the best chip I've ever had. But they are sweet. They are chili. You get the spice at the end. So you take a bite, you immediately get sweet right off the bat. Like a sugary sweetness. Which is weird. And then it gets into the Cheeto-Dorito mix. I don't really know how to describe it. You just have to eat both of them to, try it. And then you get a chili tingle afterwards. But it's not like, oh my god, I can't breathe, this is so hot, spicy. It's just a little, hello, I'm here, I'm spicy. But it's nothing you can't handle, even if you don't like spice. Honestly, pretty good. Pretty good. I'm not the biggest fan of these chips just because I find them way too crunchy. They're almost, too firm, if that makes any sense. Because they're rolled tortilla chips, but they're baked and fried, so they're really thick and crispy. So it's kind of a pain if you have sensitive teeth. But honestly, they're pretty good. I'm going to give them a 7 out of 10. They're actually pretty good. Now, I have something else here. While I was grabbing my soda, I saw these new energy drinks. They're called Alani, Alani, Alani Energy, and the flavor that stuck out to me was kiwi guava, and these come in this weird little bullet-shaped, I call these bullet drinks. They're not 16-ounce drinks, they're the thin ones, and I have never heard of this brand before, so I'm going to crack this open and take a sip. So I'm going to open this in 3. Here, you can enjoy the ASMR of it opening. 3, 2, 1. That might be loud. Let me take a sniff of this. Well, that's definitely citrusy. Um, I don't really know what else to say. It just smells like pure citrus. Let me take a sip, and I'll do this away from the microphone. Oh, that's weird. Oh, that's... Huh. Is that the guava that's making that taste so weird? It's sweet. It tastes like... Oh, I know what it tastes like. It tastes like a red Jolly Rancher. That's exactly what this tastes like. This tastes like liquid red Jolly Rancher. That sweet, syrupy type of flavor you get from like a Jolly Rancher. That flavor. That's what this tastes like. It's honestly not bad. Let me take another sip away from the mic. It's very sweet. There's like an orange citrus kick to it. That might be the kiwi actually, because you get like a sour note from it, and then it kicks into like the smoothness that is probably the guava. Hmm. I'm gonna give this also a 7 out of 10. This is actually pretty tasty. Um, yeah. The only problem I have with energy drinks is that they're kind of expensive. Other than that, they're pretty decent. So yeah, both these items get 7 out of 10s. Good job to these companies. Um, yeah, if you have any other snacks you want me to try, let me know. I'm open to trying new snacks. But this is just a bonus review. So this has been the Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I've been your host, Robert Tomato Peterson. Join research. Thank you very much for listening. Hello, everyone. This is SCP Site-56 Culinary Podcast. I'm your host, Robert Tomato Peterson, and today I am reviewing a restaurant you probably have not heard of. It's called Super JJ's Fish and Chicken, and it is a Midwest, I believe it's kind of local to Illinois only, because that's where I live. It started in Chicago, but is spread out throughout the state. I don't know if it's expanded past the borders of Illinois, but it's kind of like a Illinois thing. They specialize in obviously fish and chicken, and I had a combo meal today for dinner. It was a 6-piece jumbo fried shrimp with a 2-piece fillet of catfish and French fries and a soda. And it's a lot of food. You get a lot of food for your buck. You pay it's I guess it's a little expensive. It's about $15-$20 depending on what you get and what side you get. But you are getting your money's worth for this food. And it takes about a half hour to get. So what I typically do is I order it through their online ordering menu and then wait about 20 minutes, and then it takes me 10 minutes to get there. So by the time I get there, the food is just coming out of the fryer. So it's nice and piping hot. And you get home, and it's perfect. And they do special seasoning with the fish and chicken that they serve there. They call it, you either get lemon pepper or a spicy shake. Spicy shake is basically just like their pepper blend, and they sprinkle it all over the fries and such like that. So anyways, let's get into the actual food. So like I said, I got the 6-piece jumbo shrimp, fried shrimp, and a 2-piece catfish fillet with French fries. I'll start with the fries. They're crinkle cut, and honestly, they're pretty good. They're definitely not the best fries I've ever had. I find them to be a little thin. So you don't get that like mouthful of potato that you normally look for with a fry. But honestly, them with the barbecue sauce that comes with the meal or ketchup are pretty good. They're just good fries that you could just snack on all night and not really worry about them. Though your hands do turn orange from touching the powder on top of the fries. Let's talk about the shrimp now. These are some big shrimp. They have normal shrimp, and then they have the jumbo shrimp. And I get the jumbo shrimp. And boy, let me tell you, these are some big shrimps. Oh my god. I don't really know how to say, like, the size of a shrimp. If you've ever seen, like, a Kennedy half dollar, they're a bit bigger than that. In the U.S., we have half dollars. Well, we do. They're just not commonly used, but they're pretty big. Um, yeah, they're good sized shrimp, and they're battered and fried, and they are crispy and juicy and plump and tasty. And you get that nice shrimp flavor with them. And then, and plus the spiciness of the spicy shake just adds to it. Then you get to the catfish. And catfish is kind of tricky. Depending on when you get it, and depending on like how late you are to getting to the food, it could go from really good to really bad really quickly. Um, if you order late in the day, you're liable to get a smaller piece of catfish that doesn't fry very well. So it ends up being way too over battered for what it is. Thankfully, the one I just had was not that. It was a huge piece of catfish fillet that was battered and fried properly. So it was very tender and very juicy on the inside. And I'm not even the biggest, just like straight up catfish fan. Like, if I'm going to eat fish, I'm going to have it in sushi. Catfish isn't like my first choice, but it was something I wanted to try. And overall, it's been very good for me. Honestly, this is one of my go to weekly meals. I greatly enjoy it. Um, it's not perfect. Depending on. I find that their hot barbecue sauce is a little too vinegar forward. So it kind of overpowers the food, but their mild barbecue sauce I think is a perfect complement to the shrimp and catfish. And overall, it's just a good meal. It only loses points for being just a little bit expensive, and it's not the most consistent meal, but when it's good, it's good. I'm giving Super JJ's Fish and Chicken an 8 out of 10. They did a very good job, and it's something I'm definitely going to get again. So yeah, I know this might not, be a very good podcast for those who are living in the UK or elsewhere around the world and who may not live in the Midwest, but if you're ever traveling through the Midwest of the United States and you see Super JJ's Fish and Chicken, give it a shot. It's pretty good. Anyways, this has been SCP Site-56 Culinary Podcast. I've been your host, Robert Tomato Peterson. Thank you very much for listening. Welcome to a special edition of the SCP, the Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I'm your host, Robert Tomato Peterson, and this is a new segment, well, I should say series, called App Attack. That's right, folks, it's appetizers. Nothing but appetizers, nothing but side dishes. Excuse me, I still have a bit of pepper in my throat. Anyways, so today, by request of a UK viewer or listener, I am reviewing Sonic, and I am reviewing their cheddar peppers. These are peppers stuffed with cheese and deep fried. And let me tell you, it's a bar that has been set pretty high. I went into this not really expecting much. I expected it to be hot because it's a pepper. I expected it to be cheesy because it's cheese. But I was not prepared for the different levels of texture and flavor inside of these cheddar peppers. First off, the pepper. It's not a hot pepper. It's a sweet pepper. But there's an inkling, a tinge, if you will, of spice behind the pepper. It's almost like a banana pepper, if you would, except it's green. It's not a jalapeno. It doesn't have that jalapeno flavor I dislike. So right off the bat, we're winning. Because it's a sweet pepper, but there's a little bit of heat, so it's a nice counterbalance. Then you get to the cheddar. Now, I was anticipating just a glob of melted cheddar inside of the pepper. What I got was shredded cheddar. Like, they shredded it and stuffed it in, and it didn't melt all the way. So what you get is a nice juxtaposition of the cheddary melted cheese and the pieces of cheddar that are still solid. So it creates actually a very pleasant texture in your mouth, and overall is just a wonderful experience. They're also huge. These are huge cheddar peppers. whatever pepper they're using the entire thing to make them because they are gigantic. The only downside I could say, oh, and one thing, they stay warm for a really long time. Like, I got them and drove home, and they were still piping hot when I got home. And it was a good 10-minute drive. So, kudos to Sonic for that. The only downside I could say is they're a bit expensive. I got the large order. I didn't know how many would be in there, and there's roughly 10. But it's also $7.99 for a large order. And that's a lot of money for some cheddar peppers. So that's going to knock a point or two off. But honestly, it's pretty good. I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10. Well done, Sonic. Well done. Your cheddar peppers, definitely a good app on this special edition of App Attack on SCP Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I've been your host, Robert Tomato Peterson. Thank you very much for listening. Hello. Oh boy, welcome to SCP, the Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I'm your host, Robert Tomato Peterson. And holy shit, I just consumed the KFC Double Down. Spicy version. Okay, wow. I am sweating grease right now. Okay, so, a little bit of backstory. KFC, many years ago, maybe 7 or 8, released a sandwich called the Double Down. And it was 2 pieces of fried chicken as the buns. And between them was cheese and sauce and bacon. And I didn't have one at the time. God, I would have been in college at the time. I don't know. I probably didn't have a car back then, so I couldn't go and get one. But, it went away. It was only out for maybe 3 months, and it went away. And now, it's back. And I just had one. And oh boy, was it an experience. I'm actually sweating right now. I don't know if this was a good idea for me to consume this sandwich. I'm not sweating because it was hot. I'm sweating because of the grease. Holy shit. Okay, so, for $13.28, you get fries, a Pepsi, and you get the sandwich. I got the spicy version, of course, because spicy is always better. You get 2 giant, and I mean giant, pieces of fried chicken as the buns. And in between those were 2 slices of cheese. I'm not sure what type. Looked like provolone. It might have been mozzarella. I don't know. Spicy sauce, bacon, and pickles. Now, I'm not the biggest bacon guy, so I picked that off. I did try it, though. It was okay. And I dug in. Kind of regretting it. Not in the way that you think. I'm regretting it because it is so greasy. It is beyond greasy. And it was a huge meal. Thankfully, I knew that I was going to be eating this because I saw it was back early in the day. And I was like, okay, this is going to be a big meal. I'm just going to skip lunch. So I didn't eat lunch. So thankfully, I was very hungry. And wow. My face is sweating right now. And my stomach hurts a little bit. And I don't know if this was a good idea. To be fair, this is not something you can eat as a sandwich. It's meant as a sandwich. It is not something you can eat as a sandwich. You have to pick this bitch apart, and you have to go at it piece by piece. You cannot pick it up and eat it as a sandwich. It is too much. It is too big. It is too saucy. It is too cheesy. It is too greasy to eat as a sandwich. Also, I cannot open my mouth big enough to take bites out of this thing. I had to chomp at it kind of sideways. Ugh. Holy crap. Now, you have to be a fan of KFC chicken to like this sandwich, because obviously there's no bread. It's just two giant. Think of like if you go to KFC and you order a chicken sandwich. Think like the chicken that they put between the bun, but two of those forming the bun. It's just a lot. However, and this is the shocking part, it's very tasty. I hate how good this thing was. It was so good. Oh my god, I cannot believe how tasty this was. The spicy sauce, the cheese, the pickles just work together perfectly. Oh my god. If this didn't make me feel like complete and utter garbage after I ate it, it would get a 9 out of 10. However, you have to factor in how you feel after consuming such a sandwich. Therefore, this sandwich will get a 7 out of 10. I honestly might go back and get one in a week. It was pretty good. It's just good. It's surprisingly good. I don't know why. The chicken was crispy and juicy. The sauce played in perfectly because there wasn't too much. The cheese is a nice juxtaposition to the sauce because it's creamy. The pickle with the acid cuts through it. It was just good. And I know that, everyone in the UK and around the world is thinking, what the hell is wrong with Americans? Yeah, I get it. We eat disgusting. We eat like we have free healthcare. And this is not something you could have every day. This is not something you should have every week, every month. This is a once a year, I'm just going to eat like a disgusting fat person. And I'm going to go to KFC and just get chicken. My hands are still greasy. And it's been 10 minutes since I ate it. And I've been wiping my hands off. And I feel like I'm dripping grease right now. Holy crap. Yeah. Other than that, 7 out of 10. It's pretty damn good. And I find it very funny how good this meal was. Anyways, this has been SCP, Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I've been your host, Robert Tomato Peterson. Probably going to have a heart attack in about 20 seconds. So, thank you very much for listening. Hey everyone, welcome to SCP, the Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I'm your host, Robert Tomato Peterson. I just noticed the mic was a bit far away, so hopefully that all came in clear. And today, I'm reviewing something the UK research has wanted for a very long time. That's right, UK research. I'm finally reviewing Sonic. Or as they call it, Sonic Burger. Now, I have a Sonic near me, right up the street. I go there occasionally. I pop in there, grab a burger. Never reviewed Sonic burgers. I've only done the cheddar peppers, which I maintain is a delicious appetizer. But the UK has asked for it time and time again. They say, where is the Sonic burger review? And I'm a man of the people, so I will give you a Sonic burger review. So, you pull up to Sonic, you don't get out of your car, you press the little button on the thing, on the screen, and you say, 1 double cheeseburger, please. And you gotta get tater tots. You always gotta get tater tots. Tater tots are the best. And about 10 minutes later, food comes out to you. It's reasonably priced. This whole meal was $10. Large combo with tater tots and a drink, $10. Pretty cheap, comparatively. And you get it home, you unwrap it, and it just is a mess. Now, I'm guessing this kind of depends on the person who makes the burger, but this burger was falling apart at the seams. There was mayo everywhere, there was onions everywhere, about 16,000 pickles, 2 of the thinnest slices of tomato I've ever seen, virtually no lettuce, some meat and cheese. I tore off all the condiments because I'm not a big, lettuce doesn't really add anything. Pickles I'm not a big fan of. I hate tomatoes, not the flavor, the consistency, and the onions could stay. I took a bite. Pretty decent, I will say. It's not the worst burger I've ever had, but it's definitely not the best burger I've ever had. It's one of the bigger burgers I've had, though. The double cheeseburger is huge. It's easily a half pound of meat. I ate about 3/4 of it, and I was full. So, that's the burger. It's pretty decent. It's good if you have one near you. Might as well give it a shot. But the tater tots, now that's where the trouble began. I'm a huge tater tot fan. I love me some tater tots. And boy, did they fuck up these tater tots. Holy crap. These things were burnt all the way through. They must have sat in the fryer for an extra 10 minutes because they were hard as rocks. They were crunchy, not crispy, crunchy. Not flavorful, not moist. They were dry and crunchy. And I'm very disappointed because I typically love tater tots. These were unedible. Very sad. Very sad. Sonic isn't really something I go to that often. It's here, but it's not something that I ever really think about. Unless I happen to be by it and I go, ooh, Sonic, I haven't eaten there in a while. But, it's not the end-all be-all for restaurants. But the UK research has demanded the Sonic Burger review. They've said, Tomato, where is the Sonic Burger review? Well, there you go. You got your Sonic Burger review. And I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. That's all it's getting. Burger was halfway decent. Tater tots weren't edible. But I know they do good tater tots before, but I'm not factoring that in. The burger's just 6 out of 10. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just a burger. It's cheap. Give it a shot if you want. Other than that, this has been the SCP Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I've been your host, Robert Tomato Peterson. Support your local research department and have a wonderful evening. Welcome to the SCP Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I'm your host, Robert Tomato Peterson, and today we are looking at the king of fast food sandwiches, Jersey Mike's. Now, I call them the king because, let's face it, Subway, trash. Quiznos, non-existent. What else is there? If you live in the Midwest, there's Penn Station subs, but those are few and far between. And the only other sandwich place I can think of is Panera, and they're super overpriced. So when it comes to deli subs, if you're not going to a local deli, you're going to Jersey Mike's. Now, I've been a big fan of Jersey Mike's for the longest time. Eating them for years. So I knew what I was getting myself into when I ordered the original Italian, the number 13, regular on white bread. No tomato, light juice, because they pour olive oil and red wine vinegar on it. Now, I anticipated giving this a perfect 10 out of 10, but there was an issue, and I will get into that issue shortly. So, Jersey Mike's. I've been going to it for years. I love it. I've had multiple different sandwiches there. I'm a big fan of their cheesesteak, and their chicken Philly is also really tasty. But I typically go with the Italian. That's been my go-to for the past decade, I'd say. And you get a lot of food for your money. $10, $12 gets you a giant sub. I ate half of it and I was full. That's how much food they give you. It is a little expensive, I'll give it that. It's no $5 footlong from Subway, but it's also 3 million times better than Subway could ever be. Now, this comes with prosciutto, pepperoni, salami, ham, capicola, cheese, lettuce, onions, optional, tomatoes, bacon, mayo, hot peppers, sweet peppers, chili spread. There is so much you can add to these subs. Just getting it Mike's way, which is just veggies and some sauces, is typically the way to go. I say no tomato because I don't like I don't like tomatoes, not the taste, the consistency. And, yeah, I ordered my sub. Got home, took a bite, and was met with disappointment. Simply because of one thing: the bread. I don't know what it was about today's sandwich. The bread was dry. The bread was dry. And it was not very good. It was leaving a grit on my mouth. On my tongue. That I had to wash away after each bite with a glass of water. And I'm still tasting it now 10 minutes later. It was like sandpaper. Now, I don't want this to distract from the fact that this was still a quality sub. And if it would get a perfect 10 out of 10 if it wasn't for the bread. The meats are delicious. The cheese is creamy. The veggies are fresh. They put a ton of lettuce on, but only like 3 pieces of onion. I found that to be kind of insane watching them make the sandwich. The lady put like 3 pieces of onion on it, and I was gonna ask for more. Then she buried it under 6 pounds of lettuce, and I was just like, okay, well, I mean, that's fine. I always ask for light juice. Juice being they put olive oil and vinegar on it, and then they put seasoning on top of that. I always ask for light that because they tend to drench it if you don't ask them to do light. So just heads up if you're going there or if you've never tried it before. But yeah, to be honest, it would be the perfect sandwich if it wasn't for the bread today. But that doesn't mean I'm going to take away anything from this sandwich. I'm going to still give it a 9 out of 10. Great sandwich. Bread was hit or miss. Could have just been an off day. Could have just been an old piece of bread sitting around. So I'll chalk it up to just a simple mistake. And it also loses points for being a bit on the expensive side. I consider cheap to be anything under $10. Anything over that, I consider to be a bit too expensive. But that's just me. Anyways, 9 out of 10. This has been the Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I am your host, Robert Tomato Peterson. Thank you very much for tuning in. Have a good day. Hi, I'm on my lunch break right now, and this is SCP, the Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I am your host, Robert Tomato Peterson, and today we are doing something I did once before. It is a live drink review. Now, in front of me, I have a can of Reign Total Body Fuel. I messed it up. Let me try it again. Reign Total Body Fuel. Flavor, Rainbow Sherbet. I don't know what to expect out of this drink. I'm a fan of some of the Reign types of drinks. However, not all of them. So sherbet is typically a fruit ice cream. And I'm kind of excited about this drink. I don't really know what to expect out of it. Now, forewarning, there will not be any slurping or anything in this, but you may hear me take a light sip. I'll try to do it away from the microphone because I'm doing this live. But yeah, so let's get started. We have the can in front of me. These cans are super expensive. This was like $3.29 for a can of this energy drink. I mean, it's so much, and I just don't get it. I don't get why they're so expensive, but it does have 300 milligrams of natural caffeine. It provides increased concentration, reduced fatigue, B vitamins, B3, B6, and B12. Something chain amino acids. I think that's called branched. Yeah, it's either branched or branched. I'm assuming it's branched. And electrolytes. Sodium, potassium, magnesium, 0 sugar, 0 artificial colors, 0 artificial flavors, and 0 fat. And it says in big bold letters, recommended for persons 18 years or older. Alright, let's crack this bad boy open. A little ASMR right here. Gonna find the little tab here. Cracking open. 3, 2, 1. Oh, yeah. Alright. Ooh, is that fog? I don't know. That's probably just I don't know. It's probably reacting to the hot air. around it. Let's do a smell test. Yep, that smells like sherbet. I'm not gonna lie. That smells just like fruit ice cream. Alright, drink test. 3, 2, 1. Oh, wow. Oh, they nailed it. Oh my god, they nailed it. Oh, that tastes exactly like a spoonful of sherbet. That is incredible. It's thick. It's like a little thicker than normal energy drink. I don't know how to describe it. It's like they captured. It's like you took sherbet and you just put it into a bottle and let it melt and then you drank it. Wow, that's really good. Oh man. I'm gonna take another sip. It's fruity. I don't know what flavor it is, but the flavors last a long time. You're getting a lot out of it. Like right now, even 5-10 seconds after I took a drink, I'm still getting like a flavor rush in my mouth. That's incredible. I'm very impressed by that. Um, that would be fantastic on a, well, I guess it is a hot summer's day. It's like 90 degrees out. Or if you're in the UK, it's like, I don't know, 28 degrees Celsius. But anyways, I'm going to give this a solid 9 out of 10. The only thing holding it back is the price. Other than that, it's delicious. Oh my god, I'm very impressed. And I'm going to be jittery the rest of the day. Thank you, Rain Energy Drink. But anyways, this has been the Rain Total Body Fuel Rainbow Sherbet flavor. And I have been your host, Robert Tomato Peterson, and this has been SCP Site-65 Culinary Podcast. Thank you very much for listening. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the SCP, the Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I am your host, Robert Tomato Peterson, and today we are looking at, well, I'm looking at, you guys can't see, this can of G Fuel in front of me. Now, this is the PewDiePie flavor of G Fuel. The one that he always shills back when he used to upload regularly. I don't know much about G Fuel. I know they sell it mainly in powder tubs that you pour into, like, water. And to be fair, I'm not a fan of, like, powder mix-in drinks because all I taste is the powder residue. And it just doesn't do it for me. So, I was at the store, and I walked by the drinks section, and I saw a G Fuel, and I thought, oh, G Fuel, I don't think I've ever actually had that. I'll pick up a can and give it a shot, and I saw the PewDiePie flavor. And I was curious because I didn't know they sold that in stores. I thought it was only like an online thing. So I picked up a can. These cans are actually pretty expensive. They're like $3.99 or $3.19 a can, which I don't know how that translates around the world, but that's kind of expensive for a drink. But anyways, you know, it's a good sized can. It's 16 fluid ounces. It seems heavier than it actually is. But anyways, I haven't opened it yet, so I'm going to crack the top on this. So here's for the ASMR people. 3, 2, 1. And I guess I'll start doing the usual stuff I do, which is give it a smell. It smells like watermelon. I'll be straight up. It smells like watermelon. I'm actually kind of surprised. I was expecting more of a harsh smell. Yeah, I'll take a sip. I won't drink into the microphone, so just give me 1 second. Okay, so strawberry, watermelon, and a citrus bite. Ooh, and it's refreshing as it goes as you like swallow it more. I don't know if that made any sense, but it's more refreshing. Like a refreshness washes over your palate. I'm taking another sip. So you get the watermelon and strawberry first, and then you get the bite of like the energy acid caffeine. And then you get this really refreshing note, like you just took a big sip of ice cold water wash over your tongue. Honestly, not bad. It promises zero sugar, performance energy, extreme focus, and all the other BS that energy drinks claim. But in reality, all it does is make my heart beat a little bit faster and put me on edge. So, I mean, that's really it. I was kind of curious to try this, and I tried it, and, it's not something I would go out of my way to buy because I'm not the biggest energy drink guy. But if it was, like, the only drink available, or I was craving something like this, then yeah, I'd give this a shot again. So yeah, this has been the PewDiePie G Fuel. This has also been the SCP Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I have been your host, Robert Tomato Peterson. Join research, and thank you very much for listening. Oh, you know what? Crap. I didn't give this a score. 8 out of 10. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. Loses points for price. And, yeah. 8 out of 10. Thank you very much for listening. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to SCP, the Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I am your host, Robert Tomato Peterson. And today, we are reviewing the Denny's Cinnamon Roll Pancakes. Crazy conception, but pretty good overall. I'll get into that later. Now, I was craving pancakes after work today. Don't entirely know why. I was just thinking to myself, ooh, pancakes. They sound good right now. Wonder where I could get some pancakes. I thought, IHOP. So I drove to my local IHOP. They were closed. I thought, where else can I go in town for pancakes? And I thought about it for a bit. And ended up driving to Denny's. Now, I typically go to Denny's once in a blue moon. Maybe once every 6 months. Just because I have a taste for breakfast for dinner, and I'm too lazy to make it myself. So, I drove to Denny's, opened up the menu, and there I saw cinnamon roll pancakes. So, they're buttermilk pancakes covered in cinnamon sugar crumble, which I think is just clumps of cinnamon sugar, and then topped with icing. And it's like a cheesecake icing or something like that. It's thick, is what I'm getting at. Cream cheese icing, that's what I'm thinking of, cream cheese icing. So, you get 2 pancakes covered in icing and crumble, eggs your way, sausage or bacon, and hash browns. So, I'll work my way back around to the pancakes. So, the hash browns were hit or miss. I'm not a hash brown guy, not the taste, the consistency, not a fan of the texture of them. Also, these were severely undercooked. I could just tell by looking at them. The sausages were tiny, and they were just okay. The eggs were eggs. I mean, they're plain eggs. I mean, you can't really mess up a scrambled egg unless you really try. They weren't overcooked, is what I'll give them. However, it was a tiny amount of food. It was not a lot of food. But the pancakes, however, were a big amount of food. They were, I believe it was 2 pancakes. It felt like 3 at some points. But I think they were just 2 really thick pancakes. And they were sweet. They were crumbly. They were honestly not as warm as I like my pancakes. And by that I mean, it felt like they'd been sitting for a bit. They didn't taste fresh off the griddle. And that was kind of a disappointment because I feel like the cream cheese icing would have played well into it if they were warm. The cream cheese icing was melted, but not enough. It was still kind of thick. And I'm going to say, I don't know if syrup helped or harmed these pancakes. I poured syrup on it, and it just kind of blended in. I couldn't really taste it. But at the same time, I feel like without it, these pancakes would have been way too dry. But at the same time, I don't know if it added anything. They were just okay. They weren't very cinnamony. They tasted like a cinnamon roll, I'll give you that. But I wasn't really tasting cinnamon as I ate it. I could kind of get some of it occasionally, depending on where I bit. But if you're just tearing off a chunk of it and taking a bite, the icing is going to overpower it way too much. And the syrup overpowered it. Honestly, it's just way too sweet. That's kind of the thing I'm getting at. It's good. Don't get me wrong. It's not the worst thing I've ever had. But in all honesty, unless you're like a big cinnamon roll guy, I love a good cinnamon roll. I love a good cinnamon roll. That's why I wanted to try that. If you're not a cinnamon roll person, you could just avoid these. They don't do anything for you. If you are a cinnamon roll person or enjoy cinnamon sugar or just want to try something kind of unique and sweet, I'd say give these a shot. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Solid medium score, not the worst thing I've ever had. Definitely I think it would be higher if they were warm and not tasted like they've been sitting out for a while. I think Denny's did okay with these. I don't know if they nailed it, but I think they could do better with a little tweaking of the pancakes. But that's just my opinion. Overall, 6 out of 10. Anyways, this has been the Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I've been your host, Robert Tomato Peterson. Join research and have a wonderful evening. Hello, everyone. Welcome to SCP, the Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I'm your host, Robert Tomato Peterson, and today it has been a while since I've done a review. It's been like 2 weeks, I feel like. So, I've decided to do 2 reviews in one. The first review is going to be of Portillo's Rodeo Burger. The second review is going to be of Culver's Chocolate Ice Cream. I'll start with Portillo's. So Portillo's is kind of a Midwest Chicago-y type restaurant. But I know they've expanded across the country. For example, I was in Orlando about a year ago, and we ate at one. Their whole thing is like, hey, it's Chicago, come down and eat a Chicago dog and an Italian beef and stuff like that. But to be honest, I go there mainly for the cheeseburgers. And they had a new cheeseburger on their menu called the Rodeo Burger. It's a cheeseburger topped with barbecue sauce, bacon, and onion rings. Now, I'll be the first to say I'm not a bacon guy. I don't know why, it just doesn't appeal to me. I'll eat it. It just is not my forte. But onion rings are my forte. I love me some good onion rings. And the barbecue sauce is just there to help. So, mash them all together and you'd think, this is the makings of a pretty decent cheeseburger. And that's about all it is decent. I can't really say much more than that. It's decent for what it is. Portillo's is a bit expensive. Expect to spend like $15 if you go there just for one person. It's not cheap. So the burger. The bun's good, the patty's good, the cheese is good, the bacon's whatever, it's bacon. The barbecue sauce is tangy. The onion rings are where it kind of falls off. They're very, very, very crunchy. Almost to the point of being like firm. They're not like a soft battered onion ring. Think like a tempura batter, which is like a cold liquidy batter, versus a cracker meal type batter, where it's very thick and very crunchy and hardens almost instantly out of the fryer. It doesn't make for a very pleasant experience eating the cheeseburger, because you're constantly having to bite down, and it's kind of like biting on pebbles almost. Because it's just so crunchy and so thick, if that makes any sense. And to be honest, their barbecue sauce is okay, but it doesn't mix well with the onion and bacon taste. To be honest, if you're going to go to Portillo's, just get a regular cheeseburger. I mean, they very rarely do any specialty items, which is why I tried it. But you really just get a plain cheeseburger and you'll be completely satisfied with that. Other than that, the fries are good. I really enjoy their fries, but honestly, this burger is a 6 out of 10 at best. I suppose you get more out of it if you're a bacon lover, or if you get the onion rings when they're like fresh from the fryer, but if they've been sitting out for more than 5 minutes, just don't even bother. Just get a normal cheeseburger. So, 6 out of 10 for the burger and fries from Portillo's. Now, we move on to the Culver's Custard. Culver's is one of my favorite stops for ice cream. It's probably the only place I actually do get ice cream because there's not really many dairy spots in town, apart from Dairy Queen. But I mean, I kind of consider that lower class ice cream. And by that I mean not lower classes than people, lower classes, and it's just not as good quality. They have, obviously, Dairy Queen has the blizzards. But if you want real ice cream, you want custard. And that's what Culver's has. Their chocolate ice cream is top of the line, the best you can get. But there is a caveat to this. It has to be fresh. And you think, okay, well, they're making it constantly. What do you mean by fresh? If it's been sitting too long in the ice box that has all of the ice cream in it before they scoop it, or if they scoop it up against the side of the wall where it has all the ice crystals on it, you're going to get some crystally ass ice cream. And let me tell you, that ruins the experience finding a chunk of ice in your ice cream. But when you get it fresh like I did today, it is mwah, 10 out of 10, perfect ice cream. With a waffle cone to add that little crunch, or even some mix-ins occasionally. It is 10 out of 10 ice cream. So yeah, 10 out of 10 on the Culver's chocolate ice cream that I had earlier today, and a 6 out of 10 on the burger I had last week. Yeah, that's basically it. This has been the Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I almost said 56 because I'm so used to saying that. I'm your host, Robert Tomato Peterson. Join the research department, and thank you very much for listening. Hello, and welcome to the SCP, the Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I'm your host, Robert Tomato Peterson, and today I am reviewing the Popeyes Ghost Pepper Wings. Disappointment is all I can say about these. Well, I shouldn't really generalize it as that. Let me get into it. So, you go up, and I originally wanted to get these wings when they came out a few months ago, but they were consistently out of them. So, I couldn't at the time. And I pulled up to Popeyes today because I was craving chicken. And I saw that the wings were back, and I was pleasantly surprised, and I said, oh, I would like one order, please. And they're like, sure. Just so you know, it's going to be like a 5-minute wait because we dropped the wings to order. They fry them to order, which is very cool. I like when food places do that because it saves you from having shitty food that's been sitting out for 3.5 decades. So I paid for my wings. You get 6 wings and fries and a biscuit and some ranch and a drink for about $10. So definitely on the cheaper side. I waited. I got my food, and it was hot off the press, smoking hot. Temperature-wise, not heat-wise. I bring it home, and I open it up, and I was very shocked by how little food there was. The wings are very tiny. There's 6 of them, but it is not enough food to fill an adult male. Now, there are other people who probably this is more than enough food for them. But for me, I ate the entire thing, all the fries, all the wings, and I'm still hungry. There was just not a lot to it. Now, I want to talk about the fries really quickly because I'm a huge fan of Popeyes fries. They do fries fantastically. When you get them fresh from the fryer, they are stupendous. Top of the line fries. I would go there just for a basket of fries if I had the opportunity to. Very good. And now we get to the wings. So the positives. They were fresh from the fryer, so they were very good. They were very crispy. They were very juicy. They were warm. And they were tender. They did a very good job cooking those wings. They got them at the optimum temperature. And they were stupendous. However, They are not spicy. They are not ghost pepper spicy. I have not had ghost peppers straight in my life. I've had scorpion peppers, which are up there. Back in college, my friend got some dried scorpion peppers, and I was the guinea pig, and I tried one, and it was really hot. So I was expecting kind of melt my face off spice, and this does not have it. This does not have. I would rate Tabasco as a bigger spice level than this. Just plain old Tabasco. I was very shocked. I took a bite of the first wing and waited for the punch and burn and kick of the ghost pepper, and it just did not come. So, overall, good wings. Quite good wings. But these are not ghost pepper wings. These are just wings with a hint of spice, and honestly, you'd be better off just dunking them in some, like, buffalo sauce. And I'm going to give this meal, because I'm taking the fries out of the equation, because I'm a sucker for their fries. So I want to review just the wings itself. I'm going to give them a 6 out of 10. They're very good, but they don't contribute to the spicy, and I was looking forward to the spicy. The default spicy sandwich at Popeyes is spicier than these wings, if that gives you any indication of how spicy they are. So, also, there's just not enough food. So, overall, 6 out of 10. Good wings, not enough food, and not spicy. So, anyways, this has been SCP, the Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I am your host, Robert Tomato Peterson. Thank you very much for listening, and have a wonderful day. Hello, everyone. This is the Site-56 Culinary Podcast. I just realized I said that wrong. It should be Site-65 now that we've changed it. Damn site administration, always messing things up. I'm your host, Robert Tomato Peterson, and today we are looking at one of my old college haunts. It's a restaurant called Meatheads. Now, it's not just a singular restaurant. They're splattered all over the state of Illinois, and I believe other parts of the Midwest as well. I'm not sure about the rest of the country, but by the name of Meatheads, they do meats, and specifically they're known for their cheeseburgers. But I was not craving a cheeseburger today. I was craving a chicken sandwich. So, I went to Meatheads, and I ordered the crispy chicken sandwich with a side of blue cheese sauce, because blue cheese is better than ranch, and Cajun fries. And it was mid. Honestly, it was really mid. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. It was mid AF. First off, you get a huge portion, but it is expensive. It costs about $20. So, it's not something you can just pop into and grab and go. It's not really a sit-down style restaurant, but it is kind of a sit-down style restaurant. So, you order, and they bring the food out, and it's piping hot. So hot you can't even eat it for the first 5 minutes. Don't even try. Cut it in half and let it sit there for 5 minutes. Then, once it cools, you'll take a bite of a Cajun fry and realize, okay, these aren't that bad. They're not perfect, but they're definitely not the worst fries I've ever had in my entire life, and they're reasonably spicy, so, not too bad there. Then you get to the chicken, and it's juicy, it's tender, it's hot, it's crispy, but oh my god, if it is not devoid of any flavor whatsoever. There is just nothing to this chicken. It's like eating a piece of bread. There's just, and I mean white bread, not like a French roll. Like, there's just nothing to it. I take a bite and I'm almost like taken aback by how flavorless it is. And it's weird because it's fried chicken. You think it would be tasty, but no, it just tastes like nothing. It's not the worst thing in the world. I've definitely had worse chicken in my life. but it's definitely not flavorful. It's really not worth the money. Overall, it's a pretty... I keep going back to the word mid. It's a pretty mid experience, and it used to not be like that. Back when I was in college, like 10 years ago, it used to be one of my favorite places to go because it was on campus, and it was cheaper back then. You go there for $10 and you get a huge meal, and, that's what you want as a college student. And now it's sad to see it have fallen so hard. But, I mean, you can kind of say that about a lot of fast foods, to be honest. They're not as good as they were 5-10 years ago. And if you consume fast food on the regular, like I do, you'll notice that. But anyways, I gotta give this thing a final score. It's not bad, but it's not good either. I think that's deserving... Oh, and I think the expense adds a little bit to the dissatisfaction. I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 10. It's definitely not the worst thing I've ever had in the world, but it's really nowhere near the best. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll try it again in a few years and see what happens. But for now, this has been SCP, the Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I am your host, Robert Tomato Peterson. Join the research department. Thank you very much for listening. Hello, everyone. This is SCP, the Site-56 Culinary Podcast, and today I, your host, Robert Tomato Peterson, will be reviewing the Chick-fil-A Spicy Deluxe. It has been a long time coming. This is kind of the standard to which a lot of other chicken sandwiches are held to. It's one of the best you can get. And of course you have to get the spicy, because who the hell gets regular chicken these days? And let's just walk through this whole process. So you pull up, and they have the dude working outside because for some reason they never have the speakers open that you order at. They have people walking with iPads. The guy greets you, asks you what you want, you pay him, you order, you get the Spicy Deluxe. They say it's their pleasure. No, it's my pleasure to eat this food. So you sit down for your meal, you open it up, you get the spicy chicken sandwich, which is normally a very thick sandwich. They really know how to cut the chicken here at this place. Chick-fil-A knows how to produce a very big chicken sandwich. That's the problem I have with a lot of chicken sandwiches, is that you get them and they're just too thin. Wendy's has this issue a lot. You get a chicken sandwich and it's just like paper thin. Chick-fil-A does not have that issue. Most of the time, occasionally you get chicken that's a little dry. Most of the time, it's juicy and succulent and delicious. And the accoutrement, the pickles, the cheese, the lettuce, the tomato, if you're into that, just add to it. They just add to it. And the bun is typically very soft, very flavorful. It's a little sweet, like most American breads are. Very sweet. And you dunk it in some ketchup or some Chick-fil-A sauce, which I've actually kind of fallen out of love with over the years. Used to really like Chick-fil-A sauce. Now it's just kind of mid-tier to me. But anyways, you take a bite, and there you go. You got a supreme chicken sandwich right there. Then you dunk into the fries, and the fries, I gotta say, they do really good fries. They are waffle fries, which I have no idea how they're cut, and I've always wondered that, but they are very good. Always fried consistently, always crisp, warm. They're tasty. They're very good fries. Chick-fil-A knows how to do fries. And what I like about the spicy sandwich especially is that it's spicy, but it's not like overtly spicy. Like, you're not getting a lot of vinegar. That's the problem I have with like KFC and Popeyes, is that their chicken sandwiches, the spicy, it's not really in the meat, it's more in the sauce that they put on it. And the sauce is normally very vinegar heavy, and it just kind of ruins it over time, because all you're tasting is that sharp tang of vinegar. Whereas Chick-fil-A, it's kind of fried into the meat. So it's spicy, but it's not overtly spicy. It tastes good with a can of Coke or something like that. It's a nice juxtaposition. I'm using a lot of big words. So, what do I rate this food? Everyone wants to know. I think we all know the answer to this. Chick-fil-A Spicy Deluxe gets a 10 out of 10 if Chick-fil-A itself did not hate the gays. Chick-fil-A does not like the gays. Chick-fil-A does not support the gays. And some of my very close friends just happen to be part of the gay community. In fact, a lot of the people I've met on this server happen to be part of the gay community. Therefore, because Chick-fil-A does not support that and therefore does not support my friends, it gets a 0 out of 10. Good sandwich. Wish they liked gays. Anyways, that's it for this podcast, at least for today. I've been your host, Robert Tomato Peterson. This has been SCP, the Site-65 Culinary Podcast. Thank you very much for listening. Support your local gay community. Welcome back to SCP, Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I am your host, Robert Tomato Peterson, and today we are looking at the Little Caesars Deep Dish Pizza, the sausage variety. Specifically, it's Detroit-style deep dish pizza. Not entirely sure what makes it Detroit, but I mean, it's pizza, so you can't really go wrong. Now, this is not a circular pie. This is a rectangle pie. The crust is maybe an inch tall, it is square, and it is fluffy beyond belief. So, Little Caesars, if you're not from the States, is known for really fast pizza. And by that I mean, you walk in, you ask for, let's say, a cheese pizza. Chances are they have one that's been sitting for 5 minutes, and they give it to you, and it costs $5. They're kind of known for that. This deep dish, however, is a bit more expensive because there's a lot more dough. This pizza was $9.99 in total. So under $10 for a huge pizza that could easily feed 2 or 3 people. Or one if you're really hungry. Now, I got the sausage pizza. I'm not a big fan of pepperoni. Just not my taste. I don't know. Never been a big pepperoni guy. And I got the sausage. Now, the one thing I will say is if you go to Little Caesars and you want to get a deep dish pizza, go in and ask for it straight from the counter. Chances are they don't have one made, and you'll have to wait 5 minutes. But it is so much more worth it. This is some of the best pizza I've had in a long time. It's fluffy, it's cheesy, it's crispy, it's creamy when you get the right mix of cheese and sauce, and the sausage just adds to it. Put a little hot sauce on there. Oh, it is delicious. And it's so cheap, too. A big-ass pizza for under $10? That's incredible these days. Most of the times, you can't even find pizza for under $20. And you don't necessarily have to get delivery, so that saves you a few extra dollars. Yeah, this pizza was honestly fantastic. I'm very happy with how it turned out. But like I said, you should probably get it freshly made. If you order it online and then go pick it up, chances are it's going to be a bit cold by the time it gets there. By the time you get there. So, that kind of ruins it. I know cold pizza is still good pizza, but there's something about having fresh pizza from the oven that just kind of hits different. And this touches all the notes. And believe me, it's a lot of food. You get a lot of value for your money here. Little Caesars is the king of this. Now, the one thing I wanted to try while I was there, which I posted about on the Discord, is the pineapple Pepsi that I saw plastered all over signs and menus. Pineapple Pepsi. I really wanted to try it. They did not have any in stock, and it's only available at Little Caesars. So, not much I can do. However, that is an incentive for me to go back to a Little Caesars at some point and try it again, because I am interested in trying that. But I am going to give this pizza, overall, the pizza I had today, a 10 out of 10. This was excellent pizza. They knew exactly what they were doing. They put everything together properly. It wasn't burnt, it was warm, it was crispy, it was hot, it was chewy, it was saucy, it was cheesy, it was sausagey. It was wonderful. So, that's my review. A 10 out of 10, a rare 10 out of 10. I really should compile all of the reviews I've done and put them into a spreadsheet for people to see. But anyways, that's my review of the Little Caesars Detroit-style deep dish pizza. One more thing. I'm thinking about moving these reviews to Twitter as well as SoundCloud, just because I want more exposure to them, and just because I'm kind of filling up my free SoundCloud account and I really don't want to pay for another thing, especially because it's kind of expensive. So let me know what you all think. Would you mind them being on Twitter? Just let me know. Anyways, thank you very much for listening. This has been SCP, the Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I'm your host, Robert Tomato Peterson. Join Research. Thank you very much for listening. Welcome to SCP, the Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I'm your host, Robert Tomato Peterson, and today's review is of the Buffalo Wild Wings Sweet Chili Lime Wing Sauce. Well, technically it's also their chicken review, but the chicken's all the same. The real review comes in the sauce. Now, this is supposed to be a pair sauce, where you get two sauces, because they have two new ones. The other sauce was General Tso's chicken. General Tso's flavored sauce chicken, I don't know how to say it. I ordered both of them, and they were out of the General Tso's. So, I had to settle for just the sweet chili lime and a different sauce for my other 5 wings. And the problem I have mainly with Buffalo Wild Wings is that you don't get a lot of food unless you order the traditional wings. If you order the boneless, good luck. You're not getting anything for your money. And even with the traditional wings, they're still a bit expensive. This meal was like $20-25 after tip. And I only got 10 wings and some tater tots. It's really expensive for what it is. So it's not something you can have, every day. But I decided to, order it, get some wings. And I was pleasantly surprised by the sweet chili lime. My fear going into this was the lime. I'm not necessarily against lime, but I'm against lime-flavored things because typically that's all you taste. That's all you taste is lime. You take a bite of, those Fuego, those Takis Fuego, or whatever the hell they're called, and it's like a sweet chili lime there, but all you really taste is lime. And it's overpowering. This, however, was very subtle. It starts off sweet, then you get a little chili heat to let you know it's there. It's not a jalapeno heat. It's probably like a serrano or something like that. And then you get a slight, sweet lime tingle at the end of it. It's actually quite lovely. It pairs well with their blue cheese, and you could refresh your palate with a tater tot afterwards. Honestly, pretty good. I'd have to say, if you're in the market for wings, and Buffalo Wild Wings is all you have in town, because let's face it, their wings still are not that good by themselves. You just kind of have to go with it because it's the only place in town, and it's, late night and you're at a hotel, and your family's like, oh, we need something to eat quickly. Oh, look, Buffalo Wild Wings, I could eat some wings. That's kind of how Buffalo Wild Wings goes. So you just put up with it. But honestly, these wings are not bad, and I'd say if you're in the mood for wings and Buffalo Wild Wings is all you have, give them a shot. You'll probably be pleasantly surprised. I'm going to give these wings, just the wings, a 7 out of 10. It loses points for portion size, and it loses points for price. Other than that, 7 out of 10, good wings. Anyways, this has been SCP, the Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I have been your host, Robert Tomato Peterson. Join research, and thank you very much for listening. Hi, welcome to SCP, the Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I am your host, Robert Tomato Peterson, and today we are reviewing one of my all-time favorite sandwiches, the Steak and Shake Frisco Melt. So, it's essentially a patty melt, where if you don't know what a patty melt is, it's sort of a take on a burger, if you will, where instead of a traditional bun, it's toast, and the toast is sort of toasted in a pat of butter on the grill, and the beef is put right on there with cheese. It's just another way of doing a burger. Now, the Frisco Melt at Steak and Shake is their take on it. It's a patty melt, but it has Frisco sauce on there, which is like a Thousand Island type of sauce, if you would. And it's been a favorite of mine for years. Steak and Shake is actually one of those restaurants that I don't go to as often as I used to, just because I never think about it. But I was driving home from golf this afternoon, and I saw a Steak and Shake. I thought, I haven't had a Frisco Melt in a while. I'm going to get one. Fun fact, the town where I live, the original Steak and Shake was founded in this town. So, just a fun fact. So I didn't go to that one. I went to the one, there's like 18,000 of them in this town. So I went to one that's down the street from it, and I picked up my Frisco Melt. And one thing you'll notice immediately about this sandwich is that it is buttery and greasy as hell. But it is extremely, extremely tasty. Oh dear God, is it good. The Frisco sauce adds a bit of tang to it. The beef is cooked perfectly because it's made to order. The crusty bread plays into it wonderfully. This is an all-time great sandwich. And to top it all off, I got some killer onion rings with it. Oh my God, these onion rings were fantastic. They were juicy, they were crispy, they were hot. That's something that I hate about onion rings sometimes. It's that you don't get, the residual onion juices in them when you fry them. You just get dry-ass onions and, breading on the outside. But no, these were delicious. And their fries are pretty good, too. They have these weird shoestring fries that I'm not the biggest fan of, but they're okay to snack on. Yeah. Not really much else to say about this. The only thing I'm going to dock it for is that the price went up on the meals. It used to be $5 or $6 to get a Frisco Melt. That was maybe 5 or 6 years ago. But now, thanks to COVID, it's now $13. But you get a lot of food for your money. So, yeah, actually, you know what? No. Based on the amount of food I got, I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10. This is a very good sandwich, and if you live by a Steak and Shake, I highly recommend giving it a shot. So anyways, this has been the Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I've been your host, Robert Tomato Peterson. Join research. Thank you very much for listening. Have a good day. Welcome to the SCP Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I'm your host, Robert Tomato Peterson, and today we are going to talk about some of the best pancakes I've had in my entire life. That's right, folks. We're talking about the IHOP Cinestack pancakes. So, I woke up this morning pretty early for a Saturday for me. And because I naturally wake up around 8 o'clock my time because that's when I get up for work. But I woke up, I was laying in bed, and I just kept thinking, fuck, I want pancakes. I don't really eat pancakes ever, but fuck, I want pancakes. So where am I gonna go? Well, there's a pancake place in town, but it's super expensive. So, I guess IHOP? I'll try IHOP. So I drove to my local IHOP, hopped in, sat down, looked at the menu, went to the pancake section, and there I saw it. Cinestack pancakes. 4 pancakes. covered in cinnamon sugar icing, regular icing, and whipped cream. And I thought, oh my dear Lord, I want that right now. So I ordered it. And out came this magnificent, beautiful plate of fluffy pancakes, doused in ribbons of just icing and goodness and magic. I took a bite and nearly fell out of my chair with how wonderful it was. It tastes exactly like a hot cinnamon roll fresh from the oven. And they were fluffy and they were chewy. You don't even need syrup. I tried adding syrup to a little bit of it. Completely unnecessary. Does nothing to it. You can eat these straight raw and you will have a magical experience. When I tell you that I polished off those pancakes, I polished off those pancakes. They were so good. And it's kind of incredible, really, because I had those Denny's pancakes like a week and a half ago, and those were just kind of mid. But these were so good. Honestly, I might go back next weekend. I barely eat breakfast. I eat breakfast maybe like 5 times a year in total. And this was one of them. And holy fuck, was it good. If you can't tell already, this is getting a 10 out of 10. Like, just fantastic. If you remotely like cinnamon rolls, or cinnamon in general, go out of your way to try these pancakes. They are so good. 10 out of 10. Anyways, while I indulge in my sugar coma-ness, this has been SCP, the Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I have been your host, Robert Tomato Peterson. Join research. Thank you very much for listening. I'm going to go lay down. Hello. Welcome to SCP, Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I'm your host, Robert Tomato Peterson, and today I am reviewing the Taco Bell Nacho Fries. So, Taco Bell has always been kind of my go-to for weird and wacky food, limited edition items, if you would. They always have something new, which I like. It's nice to have something new every once in a while. I tried their wings a few months back. They were just kind of mid. My go-to is always a Crunchwrap Supreme, but yeah, they just do good limited run stuff, and they're always trying new types of things, new tacos and stuff like that. So I saw that they had nacho fries, and I remember them from COVID, and I never had them before. I just remember them being around sometime like early into COVID, 2020, 2021, and I remember going, nacho fries, like what could be there? And I didn't get them. So I was driving by my local Taco Bell after work today, and they had a big banner up that said nacho fries are back. And I was like, oh, I haven't seen those in a few years. Yeah, I'll give them a shot. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? So you order them, and thankfully they're very cheap. They're $2 for a thing of fries. That's very good. Taco Bell is kind of very good at making cheap meals. The prices have gone up over the years, but you could still get a lot of food for like $10, which I like. So I got that. And I'll talk about the fry aspect of it. First off, the fries are just kind of okay. They weren't warm. You could tell these were old fries. But they were still crispy and decent. They weren't bad by any means. They had the kind of texture that I like in a fry, which is, it feels like there's bits of potato stuck to the fry. I don't know how to describe it. It's sort of like a rough, crispy texture to the fry, and it adds a lot of depth to it, whereas the McDonald's fry is so smooth and bland that you don't really get anything out of it. These fries were actually pretty good. They weren't warm, which was kind of a Debbie Downer, but other than that, they were fine. And they were coated in some type of cheese powder. Now, it wasn't a Dorito powder because it didn't have that kind of spice to it that a Dorito has. But it wasn't Cheeto powder because it wasn't plain beyond belief. I'm not a big Cheeto guy. Flaming Hot Cheetos, yes. Normal Cheetos, nah. They get those away from me. It was somewhere in between, but that doesn't mean it was very good. It was just kind of meh. I don't know how to describe it. Maybe they'd be better warm, but overall, the powder didn't really. It tasted cheesy, but that's about it. It was just kind of like, why not just dip fries in normal cheese, which it came with. It came with cheddar sauce or whatever the hell the nacho cheese is at Taco Bell. It's that generic orange stuff that probably comes out of a bag somewhere. I personally stay away from that stuff because I don't want to die of cancer when I'm 33. But yeah, overall, very mid. Just, that's all I can really say about it. Nothing special. Honestly, I'm giving it a 4 out of 10. They're decent fries, just the spice just kind of doesn't really add much. I'm sorry, the cheese doesn't really add much, and they were cold, so they'd be better if they were warm. But anyways, so yeah, 4 out of 10, Taco Bell, nacho fries. So yeah, this has been SCP Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I'm your host, Robert Tomato Peterson, and thank you very much for listening. Hello everyone, welcome back to SCP, the Site-56 Culinary Podcast. I'm your host, Robert Tomato Peterson, and it has been a while. So, I stopped doing these podcasts for a bit just because I wanted to eat healthier. So, this is going to turn into a once-a-week podcast. Probably either on Thursdays or Fridays, depending on how I feel. But yeah, so this week, I went to Panera Bread, and I'm going to review the smoky buffalo chicken melt on a baguette and the Mexican street corn chowder as a side. So, I think I'll start with, first off, the price of this meal. It was $20 to get the food, and that comes with the sandwich, it comes with a cup of soup, and a drink. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, that's a lot of money for Panera Bread. However, do not be fooled. You will get your money's worth. This sandwich that I have sitting next to me, I'm not kidding you, it's probably 16 to 18 inches long. It's a huge sandwich. And it's covered in buffalo sauce and chicken and onions, raw red onion, and cheese. And honestly, it's pretty good. There's not really much to say because the thing with buffalo is buffalo can be very overpowering if done wrong. A lot of people, at least I find, put too much buffalo sauce on to compensate for lack of flavor in their food. And this is done perfectly where you can still taste the chicken. You could still taste the onion. The onion is a nice, cut through of the tang of the buffalo sauce. And it has some acid to it. And then you get, the creamy cheese that helps cool down your mouth from the twang of the buffalo sauce. But it's not overdone, which is really nice. And like I said, this sandwich, over a foot long. You easily are getting your money's worth with this. And it's not just because it's Panera, it's because it's really good bread. Obviously, Panera Bread is going to have to do good bread. And this is on a toasty baguette, French bread. It's not generic in any way. You could tell that it's fresh baked. It's delicious. Honestly, I might just rip the bread off and just eat that over the next, week because there's so much there. It's really good. It's nice and crispy and toasty. It's got a nice crust, but the inside is soft and pillowy. Yeah, it's delicious. Fills you up, though, really quickly. I only ate maybe a third of the sandwich, and I'm completely full. But I did save room for the Mexican street corn chowder. First off, let me say this. If I was sick right now, and someone plopped a bowl of this Mexican chowder in front of me, it would cure the disease I had. It would. This Mexican corn chowder can cure COVID, I'm sure. If I had this soup when I had COVID a few months ago, I would have instantly felt better and not suffered for 3 days like I did. It is so warm and so gooey and so tasty. And the thing is, the corn's not like firm or anything. Like it's soft corn, so it doesn't like require a lot of chewing. You just kind of eat it like soup. I know that sounds kind of dumb, but some chowders are thick and heavy. This is not. You could dip your bread in it. You could eat it plain. You could put some hot sauce in it, and it's pretty good. It comes with corn, bell peppers, onions. I think there's some potatoes in there, and some cheese. So yeah, overall, you get your money's worth with Panera Bread. That being said, it still is expensive, so that is going to dock a point off of it. But I'm going to give this a solid 7 out of 10. Very good, very tasty. Not something you could buy every day, but if you're in the mood and you want to have a big meal and you have a Panera Bread by you, you're going to get some good bread out of it. So I recommend it. Anyways, that's it for this edition of the SCP Site-65 Culinary Podcast. I have been your host, Robert Tomato Peterson. Look forward to the incoming new podcast I'm going to be doing with a couple of friends on the server about Site-65. It's going to be an in-character podcast that we're still coming up with ideas for. And, it'll be starting hopefully soon. So, thank you very much for listening.